Hi everyone. This is the first video in a new channel which I'm just starting here in summer 2023, and I'd like to look at the Scottish National Party as the first video. Now, recently the Scottish National Party have been mired in financial scandal, and this has decreased their popularity in Scotland. And some people are predicting that this will be the decline of the party, or this will be the beginning of the decline of the party. Maybe, maybe not. But let's have a look, first of all, at how the party has risen. Now, if we look at how the party has done over the last 15 or 20 years, we can see that, first of all, the party rose to power in 2007 when Alex Salmond, this smiling, charming gentleman here, led the party to become the biggest party in the Scottish Parliament. For people who don't know about Scotland, that does not mean the London, UK Parliament, but the Parliament in Edinburgh, where I'm from. In fact, it's just down the road from where I used to go to school. And so Alex Salmond, after leading the Scottish Labour Party, not the Scottish Labour Party, the SNP, for quite a long time, they won this election only just. Now you can see here they got 47 seats, and the Labour Party at the time got 46 seats. So they just squeezed an election victory there by 1 seat. But still, it was a very momentous thing, because the Scottish National Party has been campaigning for decades, since its start in the 1940s, I believe, and has never done all that well, but it's gradually got better and better. And if we look back to what they got in the previous election, 2023, we can compare it and see that they got nothing according to this, because it's not working. Under John Swinney, they got 27 seats, which was quite a lot. But it looked at that time as if Labour would never lose the top dog spot in the Scottish Parliament. So when they did, it was quite a surprise. From 27 seats and 450,000 of the constituency vote, they went up in that next election to, as we can see, 47 and 664,000. So that was a considerable victory for the Scottish National Party, and they were very happy about that at the time, that they were over the moon. But of course, it was not enough to form a majority government. One over the next biggest party is obviously a very, very slim lead. But they tried to form an alliance with the Liberal Democrats, the Scottish Liberal Democrats, which had 16 seats at that time, one down from previously, but still pretty good. But they only managed to kind of form a semi-agreement. So they decided to go ahead as a minority government. And then what happened was even more dramatic. Perhaps they seemed to do relatively well in as a government, or as a minority government, because they won a huge increase by Scottish standards anyway, 69 seats, 23 up. And if you remember, last time was 600,000, so another 300,000 people voted for them. And remember, the population of Scotland is only about 5.5 million. So getting 900,000 from the adult vote is very, very high for Scotland. And Labour were considerably down, but still pretty good. 37 seats, and the Conservatives only on 15. She looks much more happy than her result perhaps justifies. The Scottish Conservative, or the Conservative Party in general, both the Scottish version and the UK version have never won a majority in Scotland since the release of Elvis's first single. Right? So that means the mid-1950s, they've never had the majority vote in Scotland. And I think it's highly unlikely that they ever will, unless some major event happens. But what we can see is we're focused on the SNP here. You can see the SNP got a huge vote, 69, huge by Scottish standards, considering that there's only 129 in the Scottish Parliament, as you can see from the top thing here, 129. So they were able to form a majority government for the first time, and again, they were over the moon about this. Now, if we go forward to what happened then 5 years later, when Nicola Sturgeon was the leader, we can see that there was a slight decline, actually. They went down to 63, but still, very slight decline. 63 out of 129 is very, very good. And notice that they actually got more votes. It was 900,000 last time, it's now over 1 million. And their percentage went up. It is now, or then it was 46%, which is very, very high. Previously it was 45 in the last election. So they actually went up in terms of percentages and the amount of people which voted for them, although thanks to the rather weird way that the UK elections and the Scottish elections happen, you can get an increase in your vote and still get less seats. That often happens. Now, well, look at this, what happened here. The Labour were put into third place, which was a big shock for them, and Conservatives a pretty impressive increase, 31, still way, way, way behind the SNP, of course, but they were happy, and you can see by the big smile on her coupon. Right, now, then what happened after that? 2021, the Scottish National Party went back up again a little bit, which is pretty unusual for a party that have been, by this point, this is 2007, 2011, 2016, 2021. So you're talking about 4 elections they've won, and their support went slightly up. Again, it's very unusual. Almost always parties that are in power for a long time, their vote goes down, as happened in the Labour Party in the 90s and 2000s, and happened in the Conservative Party in the 80s and the early 90s. But the Scottish National Party went slightly up. And again, look at the number of people who voted for them. It's quite considerably up. The previous number, let me just check again, was 1,050,000. Now it's 1,000,000, almost 300,000. So that's quite a bit up. Again, 47.7. The last one was 46.5. So pretty good, and in fact, remarkably good. There's very few governments anywhere in Europe that increase in across several elections in that way, if they are the party in government. And then the Conservatives, pretty much the same. Labour, pretty much the same. Now, but that was 2021, which now seems in some way quite a long way away, because, of course, the Scottish National Party have a new leader, Youssef, and so they have also been involved in a few scandals, including the recent one about finance, which has, it seems to have damaged their reputation quite considerably. And according to the latest poll, their voting has gone down to 38%. Now, they don't have to worry too much, because the next election for the Scottish Parliament is quite a long way off. It's not until May 2026, right? So we've got a full, or almost a full 3 years until that. And I'm going to make a prediction about what the result is going to be. And I'm predicting that this next one, with your man, Yusuf, as the leader of the SNP now, I'm predicting that this is going to go down from 64 to 50. And I'm predicting the Conservatives are going to go up slightly to 35, and that Labour are going to have a considerable increase and go up to 45, right? So down to 50 for the SNP, slightly up for the Conservatives to 35. And the reason I say that is because there's basically the level of votes of support for the Conservatives. It's just not high enough in Scotland. I don't think they're capable of going much more above that. So I think it'll only be a slight increase. But if you put the two together, 35 and 45, obviously that's going to be 80 combined, which means that the SNP will have less seats than the Conservatives and Labour put together. Now, I think the Green Party is going to go up a wee bit as well. I think they'll go up to 9, maybe, right? Possibly 10. But still, if it is 10, let's say, and if the Liberal Democrats go up to, let's say, 8, you put 8, 10 together and 50, then you're only on 68 for the SNP and the Liberals and the Green Party put together, if they could make such an alliance, which is not all that likely, not all three anyway. Probably the SNP and the Green Party could make some sort of agreement, but then the combined figure would be about 60 at most, possibly less. Therefore, the SNP will lose their majority government status, but will still come out ahead as the main party. I'm predicting now that it'll be 5 or 6 seats ahead of the Labour Party. And therefore, what will happen? They'll have to have a leadership election again as to who is the First Minister of the Scottish Parliament, as they had in 2007, when Alex Salmond won, if you remember, just by 1 vote. The SNP were 1 vote, or 1 seat ahead. So I think they will have to have an election for the First Minister again in 2026. And I think Yusuf will just win that. And so what we'll see is a minority SNP government again in 2026. Okay, well, we've got 3 years to wait to see if my prediction is correct.